Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
We have a podcast in the description as well. Subscribe to that.
We are sponsored by Tito's Handmade Vodka.
Yep, based in Austin, Texas, American-made, #1 vodka in America, Tito's.
It's Raiders 49ers on Sunday.
Can't wait.
It's a preseason game, but really? Can't wait?
Guy, I'm a sucker for this game on television. Like a little bit like A's Giants with baseball. It does just look cool. I don't need, like, I'm not looking for incredible, like, plays or it's not even about, it's just the two guys on the field together. Like, I'm excited. It's an exciting game. The fans should be. If you live in the Bay Area and you're a Raider fan, like, wouldn't you go? You never get a chance to see the team.
I mean, it's a preseason game, but yeah, you probably would go see your team. I think one thing that makes the Niners-Raiders, I don't know if I want to call it a rivalry because they've only played 14 times. The rivalry is more the fan bases because they exist in the same area. Like, I was thinking about one thing that really hurts the A's is that in terms of their division, just in terms of attention, right? One thing that helps the Giants and it hurts the A's. The Giants, if you're a Giants fan and you live in the Bay Area, you probably work with a Dodger fan. Like, there is just a rivalry, historic rivalry with a lot of passion built into your division. The A's, in all likelihood, you don't work with an Angels fan, you don't work with a Mariners fan, you don't work with an Astros fan, right? Who'd I miss? Rangers, Angels,
Mariners,
Astros. You don't work with. It's just there's no natural rivalry that just has you engaged with somebody in a little trash talk. Like, if you're a Dodger or a Giant fan, you have a friend probably that's one or the other, and you guys just talk shit to each other all the time. The A's don't have that. The Raiders and Niners, ironically, never play. They're not in the same division, but they're constantly getting compared to each other by the fan bases, which is what has made that great. Even though, again, they hardly ever have played each other relative to, like, what happens in a baseball division.
Well, because it's set up, right, where they only going to play each other every 4 years. I do think this game matters, and I do think it's a way to kind of keep a connection. If I was the Raiders, I would want this game to continue. If I was the Niners, I don't know if I'd necessarily care, but just in terms of travel, because you will have to go back and forth, I would want to keep the Charger game. Who was their first preseason game? You remember?
Which team?
Oh, the Chiefs. But the Chiefs came here. Like, I mean, that's about as far as I would not want to travel far. You obviously can't play Seattle. You can't play the Rams. So you can't play the Cardinals. So it's basically just I would want to do the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Broncos. Like, I'd want to keep it as close as possible. From a Raider standpoint, there is a brand, like, you have fans here, like, you'd want to come. I actually think we've talked about this when we've been at practice. I think the joint practices between these two teams makes a lot of sense. Like, Kyle works for John Gruden. They literally are right here. You would just, you're doing joint practices anyway, right? It's an easy one.
Yeah, and also, if you're the Raiders, you'd want to forget about you're right about the joint practices. To go back to your point about the stadiums, the Niners, you want to, because you're going to sell more tickets for that game just because you might have some Raider fans that want to come who are in the area than you would for whatever other random preseason game. And if you're the Raiders, there aren't that many fan bases that close to you that could make the trip like Niner fans could come to Vegas. So it probably does help just your preseason. I guess maybe those tickets are accounted for, but in terms of just everything else that happens, it's good for the tourism bureau in Vegas, and it's good just for selling beers at Levi's.
And there is something, like, if you're from Northern California, it's just cool to watch the two teams on the same field. There's an element of, think about a couple years ago. It might have been Gruden's first year when Nick Mullins lit him up and Favre called him after. But just that game, it meant nothing. Both the teams were terrible. The Niners ended up drafting 2 and the Raiders ended up drafting 4. I remember that game being pretty fun. Like, the game was fun. Now, it's a lot different in a regular season game than a preseason game. But it's crazy to think Nick Mullins, had some moments. But I'm genuine. I'm not kidding. I have been literally zero excited for basically 99% of all the preseason action I've watched, including even starters. Like Jameis, I guess it was kind of cool watching him throw a deep bomb.
John, let's tell the people about DraftKings. Download the app, use the promo code HAM, and try the instant win challenge from DraftKings. Wild cards, you're shot at up to $50 million in prizes.
What about our friends at manscaped.com, the best ball trimmer on the market? Promo code HAM gets you 20% off and free shipping. But this is, I am excited for the first half, And who knows? I mean, based on what Gruden has done, he might not play any. Kyle will at least play some starters. Gruden might, like Derek Carr. I'm not expecting to see Derek Carr. So
yeah,
that takes away a little bit from it.
I'm not going to advocate for a lack of logic, but I think what's great about rivalries is that it's not math. It's not logical always. It's just I want your team to fail and I want my team to succeed, and it doesn't matter if it's a preseason game. There's just a passion that comes with it. Because it's a rivalry. And again, I think it's more about the fans than the two teams hating each other.
Yeah. Well, it's not because it's not a true rivalry, right? Because they do never play.
Yeah.
I mean, you play every
like
once
Jets
in every
and Giants
4 years.
aren't a rivalry, and yet their fans are always talking trash to each other.
But to me, they've played every preseason our entire lives. They share a stadium. It is a little. You'd have to agree. It's a little more unique when you share a stadium. If the Niners and Raiders shared a stadium, which once upon a time, people wanted them to do, and who knows, it would have been cool for us too. Listen, two football teams better than one. In theory, we've experienced some bad two football team years. It was really bad, actually. But you do feel like you're both a part of that place. I wonder if sharing the stadium is because you see it with the Clippers and the Lakers. Now, granted, they play each other.
It'd be like if both teams were San Francisco or both teams were Oakland.
Yeah.
Like it's our city, right? It's always like, it's our city. If you're the owner, I guess you want to own the city.
You guys only got 2 of the 5 boroughs.
Yeah,
we got
exactly.
3. The suburbs and Jersey.